walkie-talkie with the director at lunchtimes on the top of the wind tunnel. You were going to be one of the first men on Mars. You understand that? You have no idea. I told Randy. I told her. I had it set for you to go to space camp. Every year they had a program for starting at 4 years old, or is it 5 years old? It was a pre-kid. It was. I think it was at 4 or 5. They had a program set to start like a kindergarten. So instead of like having to go to like a public school, I just found out where you are. Like a week or 2 ago, it's been the longest month of my life. It was the 5th or the 6th or something. I finally found you. I got a hit on your name. I finally got a. Why? Because your grandmother went and called her little fucking snowflake fucking army, and they went and they put a fucking lock on your name, like as if I was some sort of like if I was a domestic violence or a like. I never hit your mother. I've never touched your mother. I've never slapped your mother. I've never physically abused your mother. Okay? I used to call her Aphrodite. I've argued with her. I've yelled at her. Okay? Again, you're hearing these conversations. Okay? But the problem is, it's like, I don't get mad. I'm not allowed to get mad. I can get mad. That's the problem. You know? Scriptures say, you know, if you look at a woman in that fashion, it's the same as doing it. If you have hatred towards your brethren and think of killing them, or, you know, it's the same as killing them. Why is that? Because this universe is not one linear path. Okay? Let me give you a little clue about how the universe actually works. It's an infinitesimal, an infinite possibility of possibilities. And every possible possibility of possibility is possible and is true. Do you know what that means? Do you understand what that means? It means that every possibility of possibilities in what we would call a multiverse, what we would call world lines or time shells, world lines mostly, but you have to deal with what are called time shells. And then you start dealing in cesium clocks. There's a certain decay rate with cesium. It pretty much leaks out at about a minute ago, and so we've got a cesium 204 clock that can pretty much dilate. It creates two microsingularities. And if you had more protons or electrons, you can give more size to the time shell. And if you create more energy to it, if you create faster, you can displace further. Do you know what that means? Think of omega. Do you know what omega is? Probably not. Think of, you were a kid, you ever you change a bicycle tire? Yeah, you spin it, or you put your bicycle upside down, or whatever. You spin a bicycle tire, spin, and it's spinning, and you're holding the bicycle tire, and then you go to turn it, and you feel that tug. That's inertia. That's omega. That's omega. Okay, and it's centrifugal force, and like centrifugal force, and like angular momentum. Okay, think of. In a more solid state environment, you would have a magnet. Think of two counter-opposed magnets are going to be will clasp together, right? Because positively charged ions will repel each other. right? So if you put positive to positive, negative, negative, the positives are going to shoot away, and the negatives aren't really going to give a shit. They're going to just go, whoa, where was that guy? Who was that guy? They're going to be chasers, really, chasing the tail, right? But if you counteroppose them, they'll clash together. What you're really trying to do is you want to oppose them where you get those positive, where you're creating an omega, but if you can control that omega, then it becomes more fun. Why? Because I was talking about, think of, if you've ever seen like in those little static ball, sharper image catalogs, there's like Christmas times, right? They'll have like a little cheap little gift toys, and there's like a little crystal ball, like, ooh, the crystal ball, I'm telling your future, okay? But it's, what it is, you'll see electricity in it, right? And it looks like a bunch of little static going everywhere, but if you put your hand on it, it's gonna bzzz, go straight to your hand. It's a particle attractor, okay? If you were to, when I talk about protons, quarks, neutrinos, leptons, leptons, I really want to talk about bosons, okay? Muons and bosons, okay? Higgs boson especially. But what's called a tau. You know what a tau is? A tau, think of you basically, like, you're going to start dealing at about 6 different levels of shifting, pulling, I want to say variables, because they're not really variables, but more of, and a coefficient would be a hard way to put it as well. Think of the periodic table of elements, right? There's going to be a certain amount of actinides, lanthanides. You're going to have inert gases, noble gases. You're going to have everything sitting everywhere it is, right? Cesium, strontium, tritium, things like strontium, calcium, tritium. I mean, it's just, it's a noble chart, okay? When you start getting into, you're going to start getting into things like tau, and then you realize that this universe is not really spherical. It's actually like a bull's ring, like a bull's ring. Like, you see, like, oh shit, yikes! Don't break it. Okay. Again, I'm still recording this, and if I hit the button or the wrong thing, it'll kill the whole video. I'm going to have to go and cut this thing up later, not the stuff, but the video, and make a 15-minute segment. It's 5 hours, it's going to be forever. But either that, or I'm going to come down to the police station, try knocking on your door, and I don't know how well that's going to work, because once I do that, getting out to you is almost impossible. There's hyperinflation that's going on. It's thousands of dollars to get a flight out there, and I'm just like, I still got to pay my rent. What I was planning on doing is basically just walking away from my house on the 1st, going down, hopping on a trolley or a bus or whatever, and like coming to you, not to your house, but going to the police department directly, okay? Not for saying like, oh, someone's in trouble, I want to do this and that, but explain the situation. Like, look, I'm not mad at your mother, I'm not enthused about it, but what's done is done. Oh, that's why you can never repay your sins. You can never, there has to be a blood atonement. That's why Jesus died on the cross for our sins. You think of like you throw a rock and a pebble into the water, it makes a ripple, and there's a rippling effect. If you throw a handful of gravel out there, there's going to be so many ripples that are going on there. If each one of those little pebbles or rocks or stones, look, I'm not reading from shit. I'm kind of coming up with bullshit off the top of my head here right now. But if you took a handful of gravel and you threw it out into the pond, you're going to create so many fucking little ripples. And if those are little sins, how do you go back? And I guess it's probably a poor analogy because the water will eventually resettle, but if there was a sediment, I don't know where I'm going with that analogy, but like, what's done is done, okay? I say this to Aphrodite. Again, we're not going to do doxing. We're not going to do names. Because if we do names, okay, then like, if it's off subject matter, then it's the YouTube. Well, people get mad. I don't think anyone's going to go. This thing is so long. I don't think anyone's going to watch it. So I'm really not too concerned about it. But at the same point, I'm still bound by a CTS4. Okay, I get just. I'm not afraid to die. I'm not afraid to go through a good workover. You know what I mean? I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about you. I don't want you getting caught up in any of it. That's why that one after I tried to justify that, like when she took you, at least he's safe, at least he's taken care of, you know. At least they're never gonna find him. They're not gonna find him. If I can't find him, they can't find him. You know, okay. But like, again, my brain, you're still 2 years old in my head, okay? But my mind knows that you're 22. It's 20 years. Okay? So be it. So be it. What's done is done. I don't blame your mother. I blame Lucifer. I blame my mother, quite honestly, because I know she was the impetus behind it. Because that's how she functions. I know her very well. So, imagine if somebody went out here today on CNN and said, "You're a Nazi, and I've got proof." Uh-oh. We can watch Black Lives Matter, or, because I'm not trying to get a racial thing, I give a fuck less, okay? But we can watch, I'm on the receiving, you want to talk about victimization, we're the victims, okay? We're being, eradicated. And so you, my son, have a responsibility to carry on our bloodline. You can't understand how important bloodlines are, okay? And so, I don't want you thinking that you're the spawn of some sinister demon. I'm trying to explain to you what happened, okay? Because when someone kidnaps a child, there's like a video recorder, the way that memory works. Human memory, like, I can remember my mother's womb. I can remember being born. I have a photographic memory. I remember everything. That's the problem. That's why you hear me changing subjects a lot and talking and bouncing and bouncing around. I have a way of storing my memory. I forget my name, but I don't forget things. You know what I mean? Like when I go to read something, if I'm pulling a memory, like you see me staring off at things, it's because when I look at something, boom, I'm no longer looking at that. Like right now I'm looking at a mouse, and now I'm looking at another mouse, and now I'm looking at a USB hub, and now I'm looking at a little toy car, okay? But like when I'm trying to pull out a memory, I don't see that there. I'm seeing, like, you're looking at a light bulb, and then you turn off the light bulb, and you still see the light bulb. But I can, like a Rolodex, remember, I don't need to remember Rolodex, like a little flipping book. You flip pages, right? And you can, it's like, search down, search up, and it's like recalling a memory. Doing a search finds all the files and lays them out there right there in front of you. But for me, when I see them, I see it like a light bulb. You look at the sun, you stare at a screen, it's burned into my memory. It's screen burned, the light has burned it into my memory. That's my curse. That's why I got white hair when I was young. I can't forget. I can't forget. Like, it's very difficult for me to clear my cache memory, to purge the heap. I've been cursed with a very strong memory storage, and it's been burned into my memory because I've been on a computer for over 40 years. I was born in 1974. I've been on a computer since 1977. Like, from wake to sleep. My sight is burnt. your image